Okay guys, today's the big one and I have been dying to do this video for a long time and I've been thinking about it literally for years. We're gonna get nitty and gritty with Final Fantasy XIV versus World of Warcraft, and yes, I have played both days since day one. This girl, day one. Boom. Alright guys, like I said, Final Fantasy XIV versus World of Warcraft, and not only have I played 14 since day one, I have also played the brutally challenging Final Fantasy XI. So it's no secret if you know me well enough that MMORPGs are definitely one of my favorite genres of games. I love the community, I love that I have to be part of a team, and I love the role that I have to fulfill in order to beat the game and excel. So I'm like super jazzed to talk about this. So I am also having a little bit of anxiety talking about comparing these two games because they're both on such a pedestal, not just for me, but for everybody that's involved in playing them or that is in these communities. So let's kind of just run through some of the basics. So first of all, World of Warcraft is an older game. However, Final Fantasy XI, which preceded Final Fantasy XIV, was out before World of Warcraft. I did play that briefly. I didn't get huge into that, but I did play it for probably a year or so. So World of Warcraft, though, for me, I picked that game up day one. I had no idea what I was getting into, and it was not only my first MMO, but it was also my first computer game. I had never played a PC game. I was always exclusively a console gamer right up until that moment. So I played with a bunch of my coworkers. At the time I worked at GameStop. I was a third key manager at GameStop, and we had kind of our own little guild that was kind of based out of our community. So it was GameStop, and you know, a lot of local people were all playing together. So that right there really helped that I could get on. And I mean, I was such a noob signing in. I didn't know how to find other people. I'm like trying to call my friends. Like I had no idea what I was doing. So not only have I played World of Warcraft since day one, but as soon as I logged in and started questing, I was flat out in love. Like every time that I go to like the Night Elf Start Zone, I just feel that nostalgia, and it is like the best thing in the world. Like it is, yes, we're comparing two games, and I will come right out and say that I think of all time, World of Warcraft is probably my favorite video game. But in a lot of ways, I think Final Fantasy XIV is better. And there's nothing wrong with that statement. So let's kind of elaborate on why I'm going to say all those things. World of Warcraft, yeah, just blew my mind, and every time that I play a game, I hope to have the same experience that I did that first time signing in and all those adventures that I've gone on. And it's gone through a lot of transitions, but it hasn't really left me wanting. Like I still don't have that, you know, initial feeling that I did at the beginning, but there's still so many adventures that I have in that game and I love it. So let's focus on Final Fantasy XIV a little bit. Final Fantasy XIV is absolutely fascinating. The original build of Final Fantasy XIV, which only came out on PC, actually completely sucked. The game that we play right now online, Final Fantasy XIV, is not the original game that came out. It's not the first build of the game. That game failed so hard. They actually sold it to people. People bought it and played it and fell in love with it or hated it, and the game just collapsed on itself. It was the hugest failure like, it was such a bad failure. And anyone that's a diehard Square Enix fan, like I am, and anyone that's a huge fan of Final Fantasies and was in the beta and bought that first build of the game, was either laughing, crying, or just flat ass out completely devastated. And it was, I mean, not only did the game fail, but everybody was like just pointing and laughing. It was so bad. And why this game is so perfect and such a huge success story is that Yoshi P took this hunk of failure and he wrote the failure of the first build of the game into the game. You guys, like, he built the game. He used like a huge meteor and destroyed the original game. He wrote it into the storyline. Okay, are you listening to me? He wrote the game's original failure into the storyline and then like boom, like cast Phoenix down and like resurrected this game that not only was an epic failure, but people literally sat there pointing and laughing at because it failed so hard. This man is a god. He is a genius. He is like the epitome of like gaming god geniuses, and may he live long, and because he has been so kind to us. The fact that somebody took a dead video game that was a failure, literally labeled failure, literally everyone's laughing at, everyone's like, oh, look at Square Enix. No, this man is a genius. He is a total mastermind genius. Like, seriously. Thank you, Yoshi P. You are brilliant. So, wow, like, and I really cannot say enough of how impressive that is. It's really remarkable that that man did what he did, and that this game is not only successful, but pretty sure it's won awards multiple times for Game of the Year, Best MMO of the Year. It's doing very well. In fact, dare I say right now, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I do believe that Final Fantasy XIV is doing better than World of Warcraft. So let's talk about current things. Stormblood, Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood is the most recent expansion, and then World of Warcraft Legion is the most recent expansion for WoW. So I have played both, I have played through both, I have experienced both games within the last few months. Currently, I am just subscribed to World of Warcraft. I have no problems, and I know for sure that I will be resubscribing to Final Fantasy XIV, or I will log in during free login days. I absolutely love that game. I did watch some videos prior to recording this on what other people thought about Final Fantasy XIV versus World of Warcraft, and there was a lot of criticism over the storylines of World of Warcraft, which kind of I disagree with, quite frankly. I think WoW has amazing lore. I really like the lore. I have not extensively read any of the books, so I'm not getting my lore from the books necessarily. I do really like, I could literally sit here for hours and watch YouTube videos that people have created about World of Warcraft lore or like Lady Sylvanas like all day. I can literally do that and have definitely done that all damn day long, not even lying. Final Fantasy XIV storyline, like I said, Yoshi P already wrote the failure of this game, cast a meteor down, destroyed everything, and was like, let's resurrect this bitch, and did so very well. That's written into the storyline. However, I have a huge pain point with the storyline of Final Fantasy XIV, and that is that you're running through this game as a singular character, and you are the hero. And they always, all the NPCs will refer to you as the hero when you're doing all these quests, and it's you are the warrior of light, you are the chosen one, you are the badass, just you. And yet you're literally playing this game with millions of other people, and to go in and fight Shiva, you need to have a group. Like, you always need to have a group. I'm like, how do you guys miss that? Like, you're just one person playing with millions of other people because it's an MMO. Like, you're playing a single player storyline in an MMO, and that is the only thing that continues to really bother me. Other than that, like, the story's, it's wonderful. Sometimes I think it's a little bit boring, but I think it's beautiful, it's enchanting, it's a great game. The story's great. How do I feel about both games? Honestly, at the end of the day, a lot of things in Final Fantasy XIV are too perfect almost. It's almost too perfect. The game's almost too pretty. The game's almost too balanced. And sometimes I get a little bored. Sometimes I get a little bored grinding. The missions make sense. Like, going through like your world, your main quest line, it's always clearly marked. You know what to look for, and I love that distinction. That is brilliant. World of Warcraft is kind of trying to go in that direction, but it's like when I played the latest expansion, you know, I'm getting frustrated in World of Warcraft because, you know, I'm doing all the quests in Asuna, and I don't like to leave a zone before I get the zone achievement for doing all the quests, and now I have like 4 quests to go to like all these other places, and I'm like, I don't want to go to Suramar right now. Like, I want to stay here and get my stupid achievement, but then I'm missing out on other crap that I need, and sometimes I get frustrated with that. But Cataclysm did it very, very well. Cataclysm expansion really nailed the fluidness of the quests, and I would get my zone achievement before I left the zone. I thought Cataclysm is probably, honestly, one of my favorite expansions, hands down. Again, going back to Final Fantasy XIV being too perfect. And yeah, sometimes it bores me. World of Warcraft is sometimes buggy and ugly and things get weird, but it adds a very odd charm to the game. Like, going back, I've seen a lot of things lately about the plague in World of Warcraft. Someone's made this crafty little video, and I think literally 90% of the information is wrong, but the first World of Warcraft plague that people talk about and people that really study is actually the Hakari plague, which came from, I don't know, it's not, it might be Sunken Temple, it doesn't matter. But anyway, you know, once you teleported out of the dungeon, you had this bug where the plague was stuck on anyone's pets or void walkers or anything else that someone had out, and then after you hearthed out of this dungeon, the plague ended up spreading back to you as your player, and then it spread to NPCs, and it spread to everybody, and it killed everyone so bad in major cities and so quickly that they actually had to shut down the servers to patch this bug. And that to me is like, that's so crazy. That's a bug, but it's fascinating, and people still talk about it, and people forever blow it completely out of proportion. But WoW just does cool things. So like when they're getting ready to do a new expansion, like having was it Deathwing that flew over top and just would scorch zones and kill you, and you would die in Deathwing's fire? Like, what? This doesn't get any cooler than that. That is the bomb. Dude, there's just too many cool moments that have happened for me in World of Warcraft that are so unique to that game, and some of it is because it's not perfect and it's not pretty. And I feel like a lot of, you know, the awesome things that happen in Final Fantasy sometimes just, they just don't feel that awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this, like I said right from the beginning, to me, Final Fantasy XIV is the better game. It makes more sense, it runs better, everything works better, it's more balanced, it's perfect, it's freaking beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. Better game, Final Fantasy XIV. But honestly, 9 times out of 10, I would probably choose to play World of Warcraft. I cannot tell you all the reasons why, but for me, that game just, it gives me some experience that I can't necessarily get from another game. And I'll always say this too, I will probably never quit either of those games. As long as they are running and there are servers supporting them, I will forever play both Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft. Maybe I'll take a month or 2 off, maybe I'll take 6 months off, maybe I'll take a year off, but I'm always gonna have an account. I'm never gonna delete a character. Oh, and I also always play a healer, and I'm also always named Auryea, so if you ever need to find me, look for a weird healer girl. So that is my video. I hope that if you guys are having a toss-up, trying to decide which game to play. Maybe that gives you a better direction, or maybe you're just looking at videos trying to make fun of stupid things that people think about why one game is better than the other. Either way, have a great day, game on, and don't get the Hakari plague. Bye bye.